Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wav Podcast. I know we've been kind of inconsistent with these lately, and I just want to apologize. I got sick last month, and then Andrew and I both got really busy. I was sick for about 2 weeks, and then recently Andrew got sick again.
Woo!
So we've just been all over the place with this. Yeah. We've been all over the place with this, and we're hoping to get back on more of a normal schedule. And if we can do that, then we can actually get guests on. But at the moment, we're just going to focus on, okay, let's get this one out, and let's try to do it next week again.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll just be able to keep it rolling, and there will be no more hiccups like there have been for the last month.
Yeah, some kind of consistency.
Yeah, we've been kind of bad at scheduling these things. Have you noticed that?
Yep. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Vice versa, someone's busy doing something or sick. Yeah. You know, there's seemingly always something.
Always, yeah. Especially in today's world. But speaking of scheduling, that's called a segue. That's a smooth fucking segue.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Smooth. God, we're pros. Wow. Speaking of scheduling, I've heard that you have had some difficulty with scheduling lately. Why don't you tell me about what's going on? What's got you so frustrated?
Well, the first event was I was going to have my buddy or acquaintance, Facebook acquaintance. He added me a while ago on Facebook, and he moved to LA. And I always see pictures of him working in some really cool looking studios. And he knows some rappers in the area. And we didn't really talk much, maybe like a few conversations a few months ago. And he reached out saying, hey, I know a guy, I don't know exactly where he was from, but I guess he's in my area that's looking to record 10 tracks over the course of 3 days. And it was just like really brief, like the kind of music. It was maybe over Facebook, like a 2-minute conversation. He said the days that we were going to be working, and I didn't set up any deposits or anything like that because I thought he was just going to come straight in, pay for the 3 days, and we were just going to kind of hit the road. But I would kind of reach out to him and say like, hey, what time does the client want to come? When do you need my address? And to kind of, make sure that he actually knows where he's going and what time to show up. And so that way I know as well that I'm going to be busy at these hours throughout these days. And as soon as we like came up with the price and a deal, he just ghosted me. There was no communication. I still hung around that first day. It was supposed to be the 3-day session. And I hung around seeing maybe like, just so that way I don't start doing something. And then he's like, oh, he's going to be here in 2 hours and I have to stop everything I'm doing to bring someone in. Yeah. But just no communication about what happened. And then I set up a date with a second artist who was going to come in, and we're kind of just doing like distribution and setting up his distro kit and getting, pictures taken and set things up for streaming. And it was the exact same thing. I waited and I shot a few texts his way and I got nothing back until, I don't know, midway through the next day.
Brutal.
And it's a grain of salt kind of thing. But yeah, it's just lack of communication on the scheduling.
Brutal. So you've had just basically a bunch of no call, no shows lately. Yep.
Mildly
Awful.
Irritating.
More than mildly irritating. You have every right to be very irritated about this because when they don't show up, you don't get paid, right?
Yes.
Brutal.
That's where the deposits would have been nice, but...
Yeah. So let's talk about deposits then. Do you usually take them?
I do. Yes, I do. On projects where I guess there's like generally more communication and things are kind of rolling forward a little bit more. I'll do like 25% of the total cost of the project because through recording, I've been doing just flat rates. Mm-hmm. I'll say just 25% of this total for a deposit. And that way there's some kind of accountability on both ends of things. It's like an even tug. But on these ones, I didn't set anything up because one, the price pointing was kind of low. But at the same time, I figured we would kind of just get there when we get there. Considering we're still in like the communication phases of it and kind of like a game plan phase. But typically, yes, deposits on big projects. When people are here showing up and we're talking about it, that's one of the first things that gets brought up monetarily.
And so 25% of the project is your usual rate. What made What made you not do that with this guy?
Like I said, we were like super early in the conversation. It was like a 2-minute conversation about like, hey, he wants to do 10 tracks. It's going to be 6-hour days, 3 days in a row. And I just figured like, okay, what time? And then he didn't message back. What when's he going to show up or when, what are you going to send? Do you want me to do like editing? And I just didn't get anything back. So there was no, and plus it was like word of mouth thing. So the guy was the mixing engineer in Southern California, and he was going to have an artist come to record rather than travel down there. So I wasn't talking directly with the artist.
Yeah.
It was like through him. So maybe there was just like a change of plans or something.
Okay.
And, circumstances were different. Usually like in person, it's obviously a lot easier. And if you're talking directly with the artist too, you can kind of get those details squared away a lot quicker.
Yeah. God, that sucks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was annoying because I have stuff.
I understand why you took it. I understand why you took it somewhat seriously, even without a deposit, is because you're getting work thrown to you from another engineer. So you kind of assumed that it would be more solid because of that. I'm guessing, just because I don't know, it feels serious.
And he is an
when
accredited
that happens.
producer too, so I thought seemingly trustworthy.
10 songs in 3 days. What kind of music was it?
I like trap and hip hop. I'm assuming that's what
Okay.
the engineer's primary is.
That sounds doable then, yeah. But
Yeah.
since we work so much on metal and rock, I'm like 10 songs in 3 days. I don't know.
No, I would have
don't think
turned
that's
that down.
feasible. Yeah,
No
that's
way.
not possible. No way.
No.
Unless he's
It wouldn't have been
amazing.
too bad. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. But yeah, I just got my hopes up. I canceled plans and I talked to my family who I helped take care of and said, hey, these 3 days I'm going to be busy. And it was Monday through Wednesday. And throughout the weekend, I wasn't hearing anything back from him. So I did kind of assume on Monday that no one was going to show up. But
Do you think you made a mistake by keeping the days open without hearing from him again? Just hearing from him once?
I don't know. I haven't put much thought into that, but kind of, yeah. Like 50-50. I feel like I should have just trusted my gut, after he stopped communication with me, to just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my own thing these days. Cause I mean, you missed the bus.
Yeah.
And there was just he just wasn't showing any initiative, and he wouldn't get me in touch with the musician or anything. But at the same
that's
time,
weird. That's weird to not be put in touch with the musician.
Yeah. But at the same time, I have had people, and we were kind of talking about this before, who just kind of hit me up like last second, and considering that was the intention, I didn't want to put anything in, because who knows, maybe Monday at like 11 a.m. he would have been like, okay, here's the guy, here's what we're doing. He has this on a drive, whatever. What's your address?
Yeah, I it's funny. We did talk about this prior to the podcast, but I'll just bring it up. I had I received just like a cold call from somebody looking for a recording studio, and he asked me my rates, and I told him, and he was like, okay, that's cool. And then he was like, what's your availability for 8 p.m. tonight? And it was like 6 o'clock.
Oh man.
And like, I had just worked all day. I was making dinner. I'm like, I don't do same day booking. He was like, not ever? I was like, no. And then he just like hung up the phone without even asking, like, okay,
man.
when's your next available appointment? Like he just got out of there. I'm like, it's dodging a bullet, right? Like that's just like for lack of a better term, like pump and dump kind of client, where they'll come in and then they're not gonna be like loyal to you. They're not setting up a relationship. They're just like looking for a spot to record some rap vocals, I was assuming, with him, and that was that. But
is that the reason that you would turn that down? Is like the lack of like the pump and dump? Is that like the main reason you say no?
I don't do same day recording or same day booking because like I don't know. I
just don't like it.
I just don't like it. I haven't even met the guy, so there's that, right? I have had no time to talk with this guy, and I record out of my house, so that's a pretty big reason why I wouldn't just want to have somebody come over.
Randomly.
I'd want to at least know the guy a little bit, know what he's about.
Yeah,
I live in Baltimore, which is not the safest city,
Totally. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
So I want to keep my location somewhat, under wraps.
Yeah.
And the other one was I just something about same day booking bothers me in that it can be 6, 7 p.m. and I'm winding down and I'm starting to relax, and my workday is over at 8. I mean, I'll occasionally go until 10, right? But like, I like it to be done at that point. So he wants to book at 8 and it's 6 o'clock and I'm like cooking dinner. I'm like, no way. I'm not in work mode anymore. I got up at 10 that day and I mixed until 6. Like I worked my, 6 to 8 hours that day. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
you've done
I don't want
enough.
to do more. Yeah, and I also find that the people who are, that pushy about I need to come in now, it's like, I don't know, man. It just rubs me the wrong way. Like
I
it's almost
totally agree.
it's almost like they expect me to like bend over backwards for them. It's like, no, dude. Like
Yes.
ask me my availability. I'm actually quite busy right now, so
Yep.
I wouldn't have been able to fit them in this week at all. And
Yeah.
probably, at some point a weekday next week, perhaps. But if it was weekend, that's completely booked for the next couple of weeks. So like, I don't know. It's just strange. It rubs off on me on the wrong way.
And you can only stretch yourself so thin too.
Yeah.
When I was sick, I had a client hitting me up, really like spur of the moment wanting to come in, saying it was only going to be a couple of minutes of work. And, in some ways we do get along, but I know one, I was sick. I just didn't have the mental.
Yeah. I mean,
for
you're sick. You
having
don't want to
people
get him
over.
sick.
He lives with his grandparents too. So like, and I don't know what I had. I just assumed because I get sick this time every year with the flu or something. So I just don't want to pass that around. I was away from my family and just laying low, but he really wanted to come in and I couldn't do it. That even if it were a case maybe where I wasn't sick in those typical hours, I'm usually doing things. I'm very supportive to my family too. Who needs some help right now. So I mean, those hours would have been used anyways, or I would have been fulfilling some other tasks from some other projects, or just that last minute urge, like, hey, I have to come in now. I get you. It just rubs me the wrong way too. It's
also
hard
like,
to do.
who do you think you are that I'm like I'm at, it's at your service at all hours. Like,
Yeah.
like you're my overseer. You tell me what to do. Like,
No way. Unless the pay is incredible. But even then,
it's like,
the
come
mental
on, dude.
with that, it is stressful to just not know. It's like being on call at your day job. Who knows when you're going to go to
That's
work?
such a good way to
No
put it.
way. Unless I'm paid for all that time when I'm just on the speed dial. No way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best parts about this is you get to build your own schedule, right? So you pick
it's
what's
beautiful.
convenient for you.
Yeah.
That was outside of my set schedule. My schedule is Wednesday through Sunday, 12 to 8.
Totally.
Right?
And that's
so
that.
Like that's that. That's when I like to work. I'll make exceptions, but not usually. I don't like to start sessions that late. I used to when I was younger, but something about it, man, like I'm a night person and I do stay up fairly late. Like when my sleep schedule is awful, it's pretty normal for me to be up 4 to 6 a.m. sometimes, which is awful. You shouldn't do that, but
that's brutal.
But sometimes I'm also like on my shit, like I am right now. I'm waking up at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm living a somewhat normal schedule. And something about just starting to work at, I feel like I'm talking in circles. Yeah, I'm done with work. At that point, I am done with work. My energy is gone. I can't be as creative as I know I can be during the day when I still have energy.
Totally.
I've been on this schedule for well over a year now, probably a year. Actually, yes, a year and a half now. So it's worked for me, and it's something interesting about when you set a set schedule for yourself. Here, I'm going to take a sip of water. I'll do it near the mic. Give people an ASMR.
Ooh, ASMR. It's really good.
Something that's interesting about being on a set schedule like that is your brain starts to adapt to it. So like, even if it's not natural for you at first, like your brain just kind of like gets into that, like your circadian rhythm kind of adapts.
It does.
So for me, like peak productivity hours for me are like 12 to like 5 or some shit. 12 to 4, 12 to 5. Like if I need to make like creative decisions, that is like when I will fucking kill it, is that time period. I've noticed that.
Totally.
I can continue to work until 8, but like it's not usually going to work out as smoothly.
It's a little different.
It falls off. Do you notice how your productivity falls off near the end of a workday? Like the last 2-3 hours? Yeah. I mean, that middle part of my workday is where I get so much shit done. And that's when I know I'm probably the most fun to be around. And that's when I know I'm the most efficient when it comes to engineering or producing or writing or any of that shit.
Totally.
And, I don't want my first impression with a new client to be me at 8 o'clock tired and wanting him to leave.
No way, dude. No way. Because that's not, I'm just not going to, I'm not the same person. I used to be a super early morning person because my day job would have me up at like 2:30, 3 in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
And like you said, your rhythm, you just get a rhythm. You start waking up around those hours naturally. I don't think anyone wakes up at 2:30 naturally, but I'd get up at 4:30.
Mhm.
And at the time, those were like my best hours, like damn near first thing in the morning, an hour after I'm up. I feel like I made some of the best creative decisions I've ever made,
Mhm.
and really
I agree.
enjoyed myself the most. But other artists, they're not waking up that early to come hang out and record.
Yeah.
They're waking up at 7 or 8 on the weekend, and then they're going to stroll over, and we're going to just, maybe set up some kind of expectation of ourselves, but not that early.
Seven
And,
or
and
eight
so with,
is 7 or 8 is generous. I don't know a single artist who wakes
yeah,
up that early. I don't even fucking wake up that early. That's too early.
no. Oh,
No.
man. I feel like that's like my prime right now is about 7, 8, maybe 9. But it's kind of just when my eyes like naturally open.
Yeah. I mean, I do notice I am more productive during the day when I'm awake. And if my
Yeah.
sleep schedule gets off and I don't start waking up until like 12 or 1 o'clock or something, then
Ooh.
like I'll still be able to be productive that day, but like my body will still cut it off at the same time. So like around like 8, 9 o'clock, my energy will just be sapped, even though I haven't actually worked the entire day from like, so it's just kind of interesting how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that first hour, you're right. That first like hour or two after I start working, like I wake up, I eat breakfast. I just take an hour to like eat, digest my food, read some stuff or like watch a video or something. And then like, okay, time to get to work. And then those first couple hours working are definitely without a doubt the most productive.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. And if I was commissioned by somebody to write, I'm sure it would be very productive as well. Although granted, I've mostly just been doing producing and
Totally.
mixing recently. But yeah, I had this client Mario who would come over. I still have this client Mario. He's actually about to start working with me again because he got a new job. So let's all
Woo.
clap for Mario.
Yeah. Go
He's suc-
Mario. Hell
He
yeah.
successfully found a good job out of the military. So good for
That's
him.
great, dude.
Took him a
Yeah.
little bit.
Congrats.
So he used to come to me once or twice a week at like noon, and we would just write a song. It'd be like noon to 4. We almost every single time
Wow.
we'd have a solid like 4-minute song written.
Wow.
So, like,
That's fast. That's efficient.
Oh, dude. Sometimes it was even faster than that. Sometimes we'd knock it
No
out in
kidding.
2 hours, and he would just look at me like, "You want to do
Damn.
another?" And I'd be like, "Sure."
That's
write another.
cool.
Like, why
Wow.
not? Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, very mentally taxing in that, like, when you're making that many creative decisions back to back to back, you're burning a lot of calories.
Definitely.
I think I might have mentioned this to you, but excuse me, I'm burping. I think I might have mentioned this to you, but chess grandmasters actually go through 4,000 calories per day just from playing chess, just from
That's
thinking.
incredible.
Yeah, so if you've noticed when you're making a lot of creative decisions like that, or you're mixing all day, like you feel fucking tired.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Creative decisions even more so, I would say. That's the one that like,
Yes.
really wears you out after only a couple of hours because you are just thinking so much.
Yeah.
You're making so many quick decisions.
By the end
So
of the
that's
day,
how
when
I
I
would
write
feel.
a track and like try and go through and mix everything, I like to try and do it all in the same day. I'm like
You're fucking
sometimes
crazy.
even earlier than normal. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
beat,
You're
dude.
wild,
I sleep
bro.
hard. I feel like I hit REM on a new level.
Yeah, I can't do that same day shit. You are definitely way better at me when it comes to that. I like to compartmentalize things. I like to go, okay, this is our day for tracking, and then I'll do editing these days, and then I'll start mixing these days, and
Yeah.
like I like to really compartmentalize. If I'm editing, I don't like to mix after editing because like my ears aren't tuned up for mixing. They've just been listening to a shitty sounding piece of audio for 6 hours.
Yes.
There's no way I can start making it sound good after hearing bad shit for 6 hours. No way.
Yeah. Especially on a client project, I will do that and kind of separate things, and maybe like mildly blend little elements of the next step in. But
Sure.
on my own
yeah.
stuff, I mean, if I'm really feeling the kick, I'll just continue through. But I feel like it's way better to be organized and work in chunks like that on client work.
Yes. I guess this episode is kind of just turning into like time management in a lot of ways, but like
Yeah.
I have noticed with my workflow, I tend to work if I'm just mixing and I don't have a client over. When a client's over, it's like a marathon. Like we're just going the entire time. We might take 30 minutes
Definitely.
off to like eat and stuff, and but when that's only during long sessions also. I won't just, for a 2-hour session, I'll be like, let's take a 30-minute break. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Oh, of course.
But for mixing days in particular, like if I'm mixing from today is obviously an exception since we're doing this and our power was out for 2.5 hours. So that fucks the schedule up.
Yeah.
But the last 4 days I've been mixing. I've been starting the mix at about 11 and then mixing until about 7 or 8.
Wow.
Right. So like, but it wasn't straight through. So the way I find that I work best is I usually go about an hour and then I take like a 15-minute break and then I'll go another hour. And then maybe after that hour, I'll do a 30-minute break and I'll come back. I'll do another hour, maybe take another 15 to 30-minute break. So I'll do it in chunks like that.
Smart.
And it's kind of, I don't know, my ears just get fatigued and I feel like I need to step away and I lose perspective. But I feel like it's good to do that so you get that fresh perspective, but also you start to compartmentalize like what can I get done in this hour, right? Like and you have a goal for that next time that you sit down. Like when you're getting up, you're like, I know that this is the next thing that needs work. And you know that when you sit down, you can start to take care of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was listening to a URM episode with Mick Gordon, and he actually does something pretty similar. He does 2-hour chunks, 2 hours on, 1 hour off, and he'll do 4 of those throughout the entire day.
Wow.
So, so he's just
that's a lot of mixing in one day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only mixing, right? Like Mick Gordon's doing composing. I mean, he did like the Doom soundtrack, right? So he's doing like composing, mixing, all that stuff. Or maybe he said 2 hours on, 30 minutes off. I forget exactly what it is, but that he works in blocks like that. And he was saying how it helped him compartmentalize, like, and reevaluate. Like he goes in 2 hours. He's like, I'm going to spend the next 2 hours on this instrument. And then when he gets up, he's like, okay, I reevaluate when I sit back down, like, what do I actually need to do for the next 2 hours? Is that instrument done now? Do I have to spend the next 2 hours again on it? Or should I just move on? Like, it kind of helps you like organize your thoughts a little bit. And
it does.
Yeah. And so I work in a similar way to that. And it's not, for me, it's not strict. I don't set a clock for an hour. Like sometimes I actually do go 2 hours.
Me either.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will be 2 hours, but usually it's about an hour to an hour and a half before I feel like I need to step away for a little bit.
Me too. Sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later.
Sure. Yeah.
And even if the break is only 10 minutes, you come back and you hear a whole new mix.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels totally fresh. You're even putting on music. Sometimes I'll just put something different on or like listen to a totally different genre, maybe for like 10 minutes and just like sit in the living room, then come back. I feel like you just kind of like it'll rebalance. Your ears come back feeling a little refreshed. It's nice.
I usually end up listening to like a podcast or watching a YouTube video, or like sometimes during that time down, I'll just cook, right? Like I'll just do something, or I'll go sit outside out back and just like soak up the sun, because
I love
inside
that
in a tiny room and it's nice to get some vitamin D.
Yeah. Even going for walks.
Yeah. Going for walks is great. So like things like that certainly help, but I highly recommend anybody, don't feel bad that you can't do like marathon 8-hour mixing sessions, because I honestly don't think they're that productive. I think you break more stuff than you would think. And then you have to go in and fix it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can really just get lost in the sauce. I've had mixes that I've had to completely restart because like I don't remember exactly what I did. I would end up taking a break, and there's so many like arbitrary or just like dumb things that I thought sounded good for that time being. I just destroyed it and just overthought it and just kept working and working just to say, screw it, I'm redoing the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing a mix right now and I've spent a couple days on it, and I don't think I'm going to have to do that with this one, but I won't really know until I've like completely finished it and it's almost done. And then I do some mastering to it just to like see what it'll sound like in a car. Cause there's a couple things, like we were kind of chatting about this. My listening situation is different. I'm using SonarWorks on my monitors. I have a lot of room treatment up now. So things sound way different to me. So like all I have to anchor me right now is my reference tracks that I'm using. So to me, it just sounds odd right now, and it's
very different.
It makes me very anxious, but
I
really won't know if it sounds good or not until I put it in the car. And if it sounds bad, then fuck it, I guess I'm gonna start from scratch. But which I shouldn't, you shouldn't really feel bad about that. Sometimes you have to do that. But
Yeah.
I
How
don't know.
often do you reference in the car? Do you have like points where you say, okay, I'm gonna go check this now, or is it like typically like during mastering?
For me, it's way closer to the end.
Okay.
Because I'm using reference tracks so much nowadays that like I already have a pretty good like compass for where I should be
Yeah.
taking things. And the car is really the last thing that I check just to see, okay, are there any blind spots that I have right now that I'm missing?
Totally.
I shouldn't be anxious about SonarWorks because even the demos that I've been writing nowadays, actually the balance is nicer in the car just because
That's cool.
SonarWorks has kind of like helped me understand where mid should sit a little better. But
Yeah, it's an important area.
you know how this is. Like we're audio engineers are very much creatures of habit. Like we have our preferred workflow and all of that. And when
Yep.
anything disrupts that, it's really, really anxiety inducing
Oh, it's
until you get used
chaos.
to it.
When I
Yeah.
first moved into this place, I went from a really like dense closet bedroom basically with clothes everywhere. So it was,
Yeah.
definitely not proper, but it was acoustically sound in comparison to what I moved into. And this change to thin wood walls was chaos. I mixed
Yeah.
the worst I've ever mixed in my whole life.
Yeah. It was
It was
so rough
awful.
moving here because this room is, the last room was more of a rectangle. This one is basically a square. It's just a tiny bit
Yeah.
up from a square. So it's like the worst situation for mixing.
Awful.
And the treatment helps a ton. It makes it so much more usable. But before I
Yeah.
had this stuff up, it was kind of rough, not going to lie.
Yeah.
It would just be like a lot of referencing, and then I'd go listen in the car and I'd be like, the mids are just sticking out so much. It doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
rough.
I mean, I did some good work out of here still, but like, I feel like I had to fight it a lot more before I treated stuff.
Treatment helps. That was a game changer.
Yeah.
Very
You gotta
nice.
get more. You've got more panels. You gotta get them up.
I do. I really do. I want to do
You
what
gotta
you
build
did, make
yourself
some
some
like
bass traps.
bass traps of sorts.
Mm-hmm. It's huge, man. It's huge.
I do
all
like
right,
the way it sounds so far, but it could use a little love. I've got these
Yeah.
shitty. You can see them behind me on this panel here. Even these are a little bit better, but the ones I've got
Yeah.
on my walls could definitely be replaced. They're not so
Well, and
hot.
you're still using. Why would you replace the ones on your walls and not just rewrap them? What's wrong with them?
The ones that I'm talking about are like those 1 inch thick. I bought them
Oh,
on
yeah.
Wish for like $10.
Yeah,
And they're more of like a stylistic thing. I'm sure they're doing something, but
yeah, it's not a lot. Yeah.
no, it can't be much. And
Yeah,
there's still a bunch of wall space. I just put them up there at this point so it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But nah.
Yeah, you
The
really gotta
panels
be
work
looking for. You
What's
really gotta be
that?
looking for that 3-inch thick material. Oil that
Yeah.
really starts making a difference.
Yeah.
And
My
then
current
the
panels
bass
are
traps
2
I
inch.
have.
And even
Yeah.
those work great. They sound so much better than anything I've had in here so far.
The bass traps I have are. Yeah, but you have Corning 501, right?
I do.
Yeah, so that's good shit even at 2 inches. That'll accomplish the same thing that 4 inches of other material will accomplish.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I think I have Corning. Was it 501 that you had? Not 401, whatever. I think I have 503. I'm forgetting exactly which type I have.
503?
but
I think
it's-
that's what you said. Was it
it's a Corning-
703 or was it 503?
Oh yeah, you're right. You have 701. I think I have 703.
Okay.
Which is
I'm
still
totally
like
brain farting.
it's one of those things where like it technically might be like a fraction of a percent less good in some scenarios, but like it's all good
Yeah.
material. It's all Corning. It's all fine. There have been
Totally.
studios that have been built with this stuff, and people do great work out of them.
Yep.
So I'm not extremely concerned. But okay, wow, we are way off topic. Holy shit, we just got out of there. Just went off the rails.
Way in.
So, you're typing to me.
Yeah.
What are you
yes.
typing to me right now?
Well, I was trying to be proper and say my headphones are at like 9%.
Okay. Well, we've got another. If we can get another 20 minutes out of them, I think we'll be okay. How long do they usually
Yes.
last?
I don't know. I haven't used them till death yet. They went from 10 to 8 in a matter of like 2 minutes, 4 minutes.
Okay. Well,
Bing
we'll find
bong.
out if this is a short episode. Then if this is a short episode, then oh well. because I have to get back to work after this.
Sure. Okay. That works.
Yeah. So fucking
My bad.
whatever. I don't give a shit. You think I care?
Don't get mad at me.
It's okay. Anyway, let's get back to scheduling. And so what do you usually do when there's a cancellation? How do you handle that situation? Let's say you haven't gotten a deposit and there's a cancellation. What do you do? How does that make you feel? What do you say to the person?
This is kind of like the first time this has happened on like a, I don't know, maybe this is the first time I've had the actual expectation of someone that I don't know coming in. Because usually I know my clients and we kind of talk about this kind of stuff first. But he canceled. I felt kind of disrespected as far as how I was feeling, and generally bummed out too, because that was some money I could put towards like bills and stuff.
Totally get that.
And as far as handling it goes, the last message I remember sending him pertaining to it was, hey, this is my last time reaching out about today. I think it was Monday at like 10 or 11 a.m. saying, if the artist wants to come through, I sent him my address and I just said, bring payment when you show up, if he shows up. And if not, I appreciate you reaching out to me. And since then, I want to keep it civil regardless. I'm not going to get too chapped and butthurt about it. So I still would try and like make communication with him.
It sucks that the engineer hasn't even been forthright with you. Like, it'd be different if the engineer was saying like, hey, I haven't heard anything from the client. I don't know what's going on. That would be like the minimum amount of respect you would expect to get, because that's how he would like to be treated. I'm sure he wouldn't like to be left in the dark with this stuff. So that was kind of like the disrespect feeling is, even if you did, like, I'm not worried about how you feel about getting my hopes up. Just tell me that he's not coming through or he has alternate plans. I'm not going to get butthurt. I just like communication when it comes to this stuff, because like every situation is different. If somebody's like, hey, I'm just not coming in today because I don't feel like it, it's like, well, I've never really had that happen. Like that would piss me off
than nothing.
But if somebody at least reaches out and they're like, hey, like my car broke down, I'm not gonna get angry at the fucking guy.
No,
like that sucks, dude. Go get that fixed. Get that fixed. We'll talk later. Don't worry about it.
Totally.
But I mean, you've also, because until recently you were charging way too little, so you were dealing with the weirdos that you get when you're not charging a lot at all. You get like the less serious people. And I remember having to work with a lot of people like that. And they would just like no call, no show, or they'd like come up with excuses. Like they'd call me an hour after they were supposed to be there and be like, hey, we can't come today. It's like, you fucking assholes.
Yep. I hate that, dude. That's frustrating.
I remember that shit. So at Apollo, when I worked there, which is a studio I worked at, as you know, I'm just explaining to the audience, not to you.
Yes.
At Apollo, when I worked there, by the way, hi, Kyle. I know you're watching this. What's up? I'll get back to mixing your song after this. At Apollo, when I worked there, we had tried a couple of things because we were getting so many just no call, no shows. So the first thing that we tried was just a written rule, like, rescheduling must be done with more than a 24-hour notice. And that didn't work. People just still dicked us around. So after that, we were like, okay.
It sounds nice.
We started to get people's credit card information. Oh, I remember the exact scenario. So this was happening a lot, especially because we were allowing people to book free consultations. So it was 30 minutes of free time to just come in and talk to us about their project. And a lot of people were abusing that and just not showing up. Or they were coming late. In the butt. They were coming late as the next session started. Just things like that. Like it was a mess. And like, we got to just tell them like, dude, you got to reschedule. I'm sorry. Like, so we started to make it so you had to put down your credit card info in order to book the free consultation. And we had in bold text, you will not be charged if you show up. This is purely, if you don't show up, there will be a $45 fee or whatever it was. So people got so weird about that though. And we started getting less consultations in general. Like we barely got any. And then we still had people fuck with us.
Really?
I had this rapper come in and he was booked for a consultation and he canceled last minute. I was like, okay. And he booked again the next week. And I lived like 30 minutes without traffic. With traffic, it was like an hour to an hour and a half away because it was down the 695 Beltway, which is horrible.
Not a great space.
I go there. It takes me forever to get there. And they don't show up again. And he texts me like, 20 minutes later, like, yep, sorry, we can't come today. And I'm just like, sorry, dude, we're going to have to ding your card. Like, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Like, I was pissed. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I had, wasted 2 trips to the studio that week to go meet this guy, and he wasn't there. And I don't
That
get paid for a
sucks.
free consultation, right?
Nope.
So I tried to ding his card and it bounced. So we ran into that situation. We sent it to collections, but like we're never gonna get to see that money, right?
No.
So
Long gone.
Yeah. So I think the thing that we settled on after that was, and this was only for clients that like we didn't know, right? Like if we knew the people, then if they had to reschedule, it was for a good reason because we knew they'd be coming back because we had a good personal relationship with them. But for new people, we would go, okay, in order to book a session, you have to pay the first hour of the session in advance.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
That was what we ended up with. And, we didn't even really get much of a chance to see how that policy would work out because the studio shut down not long after that. Which is a whole other story. A lot more that happened there. So we tried a couple of different approaches, what I'm saying. I think their last approach was probably the best. Although the number one approach, which I've been saying to you for years, is, dude, you just got to charge more so you don't get those fucking idiots.
Absolutely.
So those morons don't come to you. And yeah, I raised my rates this year, just based on, the couple $1,000s I put into the business throughout the last year and inflation. And I think my skill set got better. So like a lot of reasons why I felt comfortable raising my rates. And you raise your rates as well. And I've noticed that I say this every time. Sure, I have less business now, but the business that I have is very loyal and they pay me correctly.
Yep. Those people usually come with a little more integrity too. They take it a little more seriously.
A lot more. And the skill level of the artist tends to be higher as well.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah. The people who are penny pinching probably aren't, top tier musicians. They almost never are.
No.
I've met some that were really good, but like they're hard to work with. I've even mentioned this story before where, penny pinching kind of people, and then we get to the mix stage after they've tried to penny pinch, and then they're never happy with what I do, and those people are always going to be a pain in the ass. They're just not worth your time. But for clients that I have a good relationship with, I am always understanding when something comes up because I know they want to be here. They're my friends.
Yes.
It would not be weird for me to hang out with any of these people. In fact, I have at some points, right? Because I like these people. They're my friends now. We have very close personal relationships.
That's the goal.
So always be understanding with your homies, the ones who really support you and they're very good clients, right? But, I just take a little bit of a harder stance, I think, next time on people that you don't know. Make sure you get a deposit, whatever it may be. First hour, half the day rate, whatever it is, right? Make sure you get the deposit. Yeah, because I bet you they show up then. Or if they don't, they'll be quick to tell you and be like, hey, we're going to have to reschedule.
Yeah.
They'll just, because they're invested then. It's not just like, I'll show up if I feel like it,
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That drives me nuts.
With them.
And it's just
fucking terrible.
That lack of communication too is just kind of strange.
I agree.
I am currently on my phone. My headphones just died.
Oh, they just died. So do you have your phone like next to your head in the camera?
I do. I am holding my phone to my ear.
Oh, that's so ghetto. Holy shit.
Hello.
Well, it works. It's up to you if you want to continue the conversation. We're at 40 minutes.
I am okay with it if you are. I know this isn't a really hot look.
I don't care.
I didn't realize those things would die so fast.
It's okay. We need the content, so that's fine. We just look really stupid, and that's okay. Well, Andrew, you made us look dumb.
Sorry.
So
they're like way old.
That's how I deal with cancellations, and that's how I recommend you deal with them. And you seem like you're already pretty much on track with that, taking deposits for most people. Like you got your shit together. You just, anytime you slip up, you're going to get taken advantage of, right? And that happens.
Absolutely.
And it always sucks when it happens. You're like, fuck.
Yep.
Damn it.
People like to do that too. Everybody wants to go through this process, and I feel like it doesn't get taken as seriously as it really should be. And not all
Yeah.
the time, but sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, let's see what we haven't talked about yet. We've talked about almost everything. I think we have 3 other points. I think we've talked about setting regular hours. We've definitely talked about that.
Yeah.
That helps. We talked about last minute booking. Yeah. I guess we haven't touched on it. I don't know how we would naturally include this in the conversation, but goal-oriented scheduling, right?
Mhm.
Like knowing what you're doing in that session before it happens. So you have a clear goal, not just somebody's like, I'm going to come in and make music. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? I want to be prepared.
Yeah, that's very broad.
Yeah, I want to make sure we're prepared, right? So
Yeah.
goal-oriented sessions are big, not only for you, but for the clients as well. Like they'll make sure to get you files that they need in time if they know they're doing certain things. They'll make sure to bring their equipment that they need. And there's really not a lot to talk about with that topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that to jump to the next thing. At the end of the session, you should have a clear goal what the next thing should be, whether it's mixing or another session. And if it's another session, you should be booking that session right then and there with that client, being like, okay, when would you like to come in? Here's my availability. What's yours? And just get it on the books.
Yeah.
Just get it down. Because if they leave, I don't know. I just feel like there's less of a chance of them booking again in a timely fashion, even if they want to. It's strange how
It's
that
true.
works. People don't like reaching out, you know?
Even with close clients, when we'll like go through with the session, if we don't really at least start talking about, showing up within a week or 2 weeks, sometimes it goes to be like a month before they come back, just because life happens. They might have something they've got to take care of, and it can be easy to slip this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to also know like exactly like something that you're going to be doing the next session too. Whenever we're booking, you already kind of nailed it on the head, but just to like know what's going to be happening, because sometimes just rolling off the cuff, it can be super stressful, and maybe you don't have the right resources you need to actually like meet that end goal and make the thing happen. You might just spend hours looking for beats or something, like to show up prepared with that. It also shows that like if the artist comes prepared. What's that?
That's the worst, when you just like look for beats. Like, why didn't you pick one out before you got here?
Yeah, exactly. It just shows a little more initiative when people come with something kind of like ready to go, something that you can just jump on and move with, although that's not always the case. And I try not to like imply that expectation a lot, but when they willingly do it, it's very nice.
I guess it's different. Effort. I guess it's different if you're getting paid by the hour, but if you're doing a flat rate, I like to just be prepared and minimize downtime, because time is money.
Yes. Yep.
When you're getting paid by the hour, the same thing applies. Time is money, so take your fucking time.
Totally. Yeah.
That's actually I kind of disagree with that sentiment. Like, I think it was in a Glenn Fricker video, and I've had another engineer say this to me, where he's like, "Yeah, you should always just have like a box of like noisemakers, so like artists don't want to add shakers and stuff and all these things to songs, and that's just extra time. That's more money in your pocket." It's like that's so snaky. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't fuck
that's
with
not.
That, man. Yeah,
I could see where he's coming from, but at the same time, I mean, you shouldn't be milking people.
No,
if they actually want that stuff done, of course, do it. But
well, my question is like, okay, they want to add all this stuff to the song. Does any of this make the song better, or are you just letting them do that so it takes up time?
Yeah,
that's where
that's
my head's
wishy-washy.
Like, yeah, like to me, that just screams that you have no integrity as a recording engineer. So I really despise that mentality of like, I'm on the clock. Doesn't matter how long they take to do this. Like, no.
Yep.
No.
That's one of the reasons I don't do hourly anyways. I'm afraid that might be kind of like the assumption of the way things could go in the eyes of the artist. Mm-hmm. And, hourly is kind of scary too, I feel like. So having some kind of flat rate is probably just more comfortable for everybody, as long as the flat rate is like ample enough to get paid the time that I'm working and keep them from like going broke, definitely. But
yeah, I mean, hourly works for people you don't know, right? And you don't know what the project's going to be. You don't know the skill level. And I think flat rate works better for people you do know, and they understand your workflow. Yeah. And they understand that you are going to do things a certain way, so it gets done in that amount of time. Like when I do flat rate, like I know not exactly, but I have a very good idea about how long each step of the process is going to take. So I know that I'm getting paid properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can
know,
kind
it's
of
all-
integrate that as you go, a flat rate.
Yeah, like I think I was telling you a lot. Just like time yourself, time how long it takes you to do things,
Yeah.
and then base it
that's
off of
a
that.
good way to do it.
Yeah,
Gauge things.
absolutely. And like I can almost guarantee on any flat rate project, you probably aren't making the hourly that you set out to make, but you'll be making close to it, which is
Sometimes,
that's
yeah.
important. And you'll be making close to it, and everybody's having a much better time. So
Yes.
it's just a more relaxed, easy time. If you want to take a couple minutes to watch a YouTube video that somebody brought up, do it. Like, you know, keep the vibe going, because this
Yep.
is it's all about the vibe, right?
Yeah. You want to provide a good service too. It's a service industry.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's all we got on this topic. I'll be honest. I don't think we have much more.
That's about it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I could always go like funny story time about like times people have freaked out. Okay, I'll tell one. So,
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I was working at Apollo, and I met this lady, and she said she was a singer, and I was like, okay. She was like this middle-aged lady, and I was like, okay, come in and sing. She had a nice voice. It was very soulful.
Cool.
You know, kind of like one of those older like black jazz singers. And
Awesome.
yeah, and she said she wanted to come record, and she came in, or I scheduled her to come in, and I told her like, okay, just like make sure you show up. You know, I told her all of our policies. This is when, you know, we were doing the late fee stuff, or the no show fee, and she doesn't show up on the day of. I'm like, motherfucker.
Go figure.
And I call her after, and I get no response, and then I finally talk to her the next day, and she's like, my son did this, and I got so mad, and I completely forgot. And it's like, that's not like, she was like on the way, and then something happened, and she got like mad, and like I was like, look, I'm sorry, like I don't even know if I said like we're gonna have to charge you. I think it was like something like, I'm sorry, but you know, I'm gonna have to put you in touch with the studio owner, and he's gonna have to decide whether or not he charges you, because like, one, I didn't want to be the bad guy there, and that was something cool that Adam always did there, was he was, you know, he's like, whenever something bad like that happens, you know, since I'm not there, make me the bad guy so they're not angry at you, which I thought was great advice. Great advice, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to do that. And yeah, just she was like crying hysterically. She was
Oh
like
my
weeping,
gosh.
like, please don't charge my card.
Oh no, total meltdown mode.
She's like, I don't have the money. And it's like, why are you coming to record then?
Yeah. I wonder that sometimes. Maybe that was why.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up not charging her, but like, it was just such a shit show.
It's like that sometimes, dude.
I don't miss that. I really don't miss
I've got
that.
some people that like just beg to come in and spend like a day recording and doing stuff who can't pay for it. And it's just such an odd topic. But in the back of my mind, I wonder, I mean, you can't pay your bills and everything, and you're talking about being late, but you still want to come do this. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to charge you. And sure, I might run you a deal because you're a homie of some sort. But I can't do it all for free, because then he's going to show up constantly wanting free work, and he might tell his friend that also comes to me, and it can create some small issues.
Yeah, I never do things for free.
No.
I mean, I've talked to
I used
like,
to a lot, but
I've
not
talked
much
to a
anymore.
I've talked to a graphic designer that I'm really good friends with. You probably know him, Cody Kaufman. I think you know him.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the name.
He's my boy. That boy is very talented, and he's a good friend of mine as well. We just been internet friends ever since like the old Chango forum.
Ah, very nice.
The Chango days, yeah, back in the day.
Yeah,
So,
classic.
Yeah, he's been around since then. I've been around since then. He's a goofy guy, and we've talked about this, and we ended up not doing it. But you know, I've always said, like, you know, excuse me, with any of his songs that he was doing, or if he wanted me to, like, you know, produce a song for him for free, if he would do, like, you know, a logo for me or something, or some artwork for me, like, we've thrown that around. So like, I think that's fine to like trade professional services for each other. Of course, I think that's totally fine. But yeah, just doing stuff
free work for the sake of free work.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
Yeah,
I don't know about that shit.
I'm even kind of weary about trading services now too. I've had some pretty ugly experiences.
depends on the service and on the relationship you have with that person. Like with Cody, I
Yes.
know he is a stand-up individual and his work is amazing. So, and
Yeah.
I've also paid him for work before and he did a great job. And I send my clients to him. So he's had a lot of other jobs because of me. Right.
Very cool. I love
So
that.
like, so we have a really good relationship with each other. So I know there'd be no fuckery there,
Yeah.
but
No fuckery.
it just depends on the person, certainly. Like what situation did you run into?
The one main one that just, I mean, it's not the principle maybe of trading services for services, but I did trade the idea of production. We did a little bit of production on a folk album for a tattoo on my chest. And the guy was not a stand-up guy, and he was very flaky, and I didn't know that. I mean, he ran his own tattoo shop, so I kind of assumed like he's gonna be okay.
It's this guy.
He did like 40% of the tattoo. I swear he was hungover or something one of the days, but still was kind of going. And he just smashed through this. So this tattoo's kind of shanky, and it's
Ooh.
half done. He's like, his shop closed. He's on the streets, totally like fucked up on substances right now, and
Holy shit.
that kind of just left a bad taste in my mouth. And granted, I haven't had offers for like a service for service thing, but I'm really gonna want to see some kind of credentials first or something that instates like quality work and timeliness before I do that again, or at least just know the person.
Knowing the person, like having a relationship already with them is nice. Like a professional relationship would be the way to go. Oh, that's brutal, man.
Makes a big difference. I got to go spend like $400 or $500 getting it done. Some guy in town who's actually a good tattoo artist said like $500 and he could fix it all up and finish it. So it's not terrible, but ideally that would have been a free tattoo in a way. Not free, but it would have benefited a win-win. It would have benefited both of us.
Yeah.
But you live and learn. It's not the first shitty tattoo I have. My left thigh is just decked out in crappy tattoos.
I've got none. I've got none, surprisingly.
Really? No tattoos?
I always wanted them, but every time I would get money, I would just spend it on musical equipment, right?
Yeah.
So like I see musicians my age with like full sleeves, or even when we were like 22, they had full sleeves. I'm like, how the fuck did you afford that?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
But no guitar or nothing, no mic. They got like the crappy mic.
No,
eBay
they would even
mics.
have good. Some of them would even have good equipment. I'm like, what's going on here?
That's
What's happening here?
I want to know what he does, especially at 22.
what's-
That shit's expensive, man.
Well, I don't know if it's like daddy's money or what. I mean, I know plenty of like alt or scene kids when I was younger who had tons of tattoos, and like a lot of that was, they were broke. They only spent money on tattoos.
Yep.
Like
My buddy
that
was the same way.
definitely, I knew those people. That's a brutal lifestyle. Those guys,
Yeah.
those are kind of sad people, but
It sure does look cool, but I couldn't justify it. I've spent
like
very little
tattoos.
amounts of money on my tattoos.
It'd be cool. I'd like some tattoos at some point, but like, I'm now 27 and I still have none. Now I'm like, do I even need to get them now? Is it time or?
There
do
was
I
a
wanna
point in
be-
time where I wanted to get decked out in tattoos, and then I started
Same.
getting them, and then I don't know. It's just not what I really wanted. I feel like, of course, I think it looks cool, but when I really like look at the tattoos, I mean, half the time I don't. I forget they're there on my body.
Yeah.
But I guess it's probably different when you have a sleeve. But I mean, what's the point in spending $2,000-$3,000 on a sleeve when and some people have very real things like rent, and other things that I would rather put towards like sustainability than just tattoos.
I mean, with how obsessive I am, I can't imagine that I would ever be truly happy with any tattoo that I got.
Yeah.
I'd always probably find something to complain about.
Yeah. I think that's the way it is too. Cause I have some pretty decent ones, and I get compliments, but I see like the little errors in it just from looking at it.
Yeah.
And I'm just picky. I'm not going to bring it up to the guy, but there's things that I just don't like. So it's not, I don't see myself getting blasted like I wanted to, but.
Yeah, maybe. I used the Snapchat filter to give me like a neck tattoo. I'm like, damn, that looks sick.
Yeah. Neck tattoos
It does
are
look
cool, man.
It does look really cool, but yeah, I don't know. So, all right, let's wrap this shit up. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes,
Sorry, we
thank
took
you very much.
Such a big break. Some of it was our fault. Some of it was not. If you look at the timeline of Andrew and I being sick, that was about 3.5 to 4 weeks. One of us was sick. So
All fucked up.
that definitely fucked things up. But we'll try to be more consistent with this one. And I know we have been saying that we'll try to get guests on, but why don't we actually try to do that next week? Let's actually try to get a guest on next week.
Yeah.
We got to figure out the Zoom stuff for that.
Let's make a day. Maybe we can get on and figure out the Zoom
what day
thing
did you say we're
between
going
the
to be
two of us.
recording? What day did you say we're going to be doing recordings? Wednesdays or Thursdays? Because I'm gonna make you stick to that. We gotta make this work now.
Yep.
We gotta commit because we got off of the regular recordings and lo and behold, it fucked up our upload schedule. So
Totally. Yeah, it's all wonky.
Yeah. Well, alrighty. Thank you guys for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, we'll be here next week. I promise you.
And we'll be back.
If we're not, maybe we'll just stop uploading out of embarrassment. But we'll be here. I promise.
All right.
Fingers
Adios.
crossed. See you guys.